Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, a great holiday with the fam, but it's time to get back to the commentary. So, we're going to talk a little bit about reasons of why Myrla left Gil. Now, it's not what you think, so, before we jump into this, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash the like button and drop a comment down below. Now, what I'm addressing is what some of the fans think are the reasons, and I'm going to address those reasons, okay? So, one of the things that was brought up was sex. Now, here's the thing. They chose to consummate the marriage prior to the decision day, 2 weeks, right? And as you remember, when the conversation came up on decision day, Myrla played with it and said, oh, no, we did not consummate our marriage. And of course, Dr. Viviana called her out and said, you can't lie with a straight face. And then Gil said, well, we have consummated the marriage. And it was great. So my thing is, I don't know what happened in that situation after that, but it seems that from the way it looked, she didn't have a problem with it, because I'll tell you why. Toward the end, when they were in their confessional before their particular section ended in regards to decision day, the first thing Myrla was talking about was having children. And Gil was like, maybe 3 years from now. And she was like, no, I want to have children in the next year and a half. Now, one or two things was happening there. Obviously, if she did not want to have sex with him, she wouldn't be talking about having kids, because the only way that you can have kids with somebody is guess through what. So, either she really took it to a level with the lies and the fakery and everything, because if the sex wasn't all of that, I don't think she would be talking about making babies with this man. You guys can go back to that clip. Go to episode 17. At the end of their section, where they had both said yes at decision day, and they were off to the side and they were talking to production and the cameras, and the first thing that she said, we got to start making babies. Bad sex, tend to not make so many babies, because of the fact that you would want to walk away from that if that was the case. And the thing is, if you're newly having sex, why would that's something that could be worked on, right? So I don't agree that was the issue. But let's move on to what some of the other things some of the fans said. So this whole scenario came up right before part 2 of the reunion aired. Somebody posted something on Reddit saying that somebody that knows somebody said that he was being aggressive with her. I wouldn't agree as far as I could throw that particular, I don't know if they don't call it a tweet, Reddit post, whatever. Here's my reasoning why. One thing, Myrla is not a shrinking violet. Now, she might want to put on for the cameras or whatever, but I don't think, especially in the Me Too environment that we're in right now, she would have the support of most of the women that watches this show. Okay? She would also have the support of the production team, because if that was actually the case, they wouldn't let those two within inches of each other. Look at what Michaela did. She asked to keep Zach offset, and what did they do? They did it. So if there was actual, proof of what had happened, there's no way Kinetic Content would have put them in the same room with each other, in the same space, in the same building with each other. The other thing is all of the great things that Myrla said about him in Reunion Part 1. He's a great guy. He's an awesome guy. He's just not that guy for me. There is no way she would be singing that man's praises, looking out for his mental health, saying, oh, I did all these things for you because you weren't happy. So I had to let you go, when it was because of the fact of her wanting to let him go. There was nothing remotely close In anything that we saw, in anything that led it up to this, even if production knew that this had happened, there is no freaking way they would have let them two within the same 10-mile radius of of each other, excuse me, if that had actually happened. I actually think that was a vicious rumor set to kind of change the trajectory to kind of give some justification to Myrla, which is not cool because you don't want to put false things out there like that that can ruin his reputation, his life, because that's a crime, ruin his future. That's ridiculous. So I wanted to, address that as well. So some people were saying that, oh, he act his old way. As much as they was blaming Myrla, for some folks were saying that she was acting, they were saying he was faking. He faked his tears. He faked the whole thing because he's an actor. Listen, one of the things that we did get to see with him is raw emotion. And as much as, we heard some of the things with the name calling, which we'll address that also in this video, he went above and beyond in some cases to do what this girl wanted because of the fact that he really wanted to be in this marriage. I don't know if you guys saw his Instagram before he was able to open up. One of the things that he said as a quote is he wanted to enjoy food and be happy, but the other thing is he wanted to continue to love the same woman over and over and over again. One woman. So with somebody that has that particular mindset, he was looking for that one, and he thought she was that one. Now, was he outspoken amongst the group? It seemed like he was the leader of the group and always giving advice. Of course, Married at First Sight, every season have one person that does that. Amani was that in season 11. I think maybe we had another one in season 12 that did that. And in the previous season, there was always a spokesperson of the group. But I honestly believe that he loved this girl so much so that when they decided to say yes on decision day, this man sold all his belongings. All he kept was his dog, his Belinda, and some clothes. Only 14 days later to find out that this girl didn't want anything to do with him. So I don't think you would put your entire livelihood, your reputation, all of the things that you had in the hands of somebody else if you really truly didn't want to be there. The other thing is that conversation with Michaela. While everybody's out there kikiing, laughing, saying, okay, it's over, I'll get a divorce. He was serious about this process. I mean, granted, I don't think he's going to have a problem from this point moving forward because his DMs is filled. He went from 400 followers on Instagram to well over 50,000 as of yesterday. So I don't think he's going to have a problem now. But during this, do I think he faked it? Absolutely not. But that's just my opinion. Let's move on. So the next thing is the money thing, because there are some folks saying, oh, he's has so many insecurities about money and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Here, the biggest thing that I have seen about this whole season with him and the money is hers and the way she spends it. And I kind of touched on this when we did the recap, or I should say I did the recap the other night in regards to the fact of being in a marriage. You become one. What you do in that marriage affects the other person, and you can't continue to move like a single person in a marriage. That resonates with the fact, and I'll bring it back up again with season 11, Woody and Amani. Woody was the spender in that marriage. And would you call her insecure about the fact that she was also just as concerned as Gil was about the way Woody spent the money going out of the household? When you are in a partnership, which is what usually people these days call a marriage, a partnership, you have to move in a way that's conducive to the marriage and the two people that's in it. Now, I'm not saying he should say, you can't spend none of your money, blah, 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 blah. But if you guys are going to blend your lives together, how the other person moves in the marriage can affect the marriage. If you want to move like a single person, you need to be single. And I find it interesting that everybody's saying, oh, he's so insecure. He need to man up. He need to go make money, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, Amani had the same concerns with Woody, but people were mad at him for spending his money. And how they were agreeing with Amani that you need to slow your roll with how you spend your money. Y'all got a marriage and all of that. Do you guys remember? Come on, check your memories. Because you have to make that work. And what did Amani and Woody do? They made it work. They're still married. They'll be 2 years married coming up in February. This could have been handled. But the thing is, Myrla didn't want to be there. She wanted to do what she wanted to do in this marriage. And it is what it is. So, to say he was insecure, it wasn't like he was running around saying, you make more money than me. You're emasculating me because I don't make as much money as you. We come to find out he makes just as much as she do. He spends it differently. She spends it differently. That's the difference. So that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. Okay, and let's talk about this name calling, because I was actually in a conversation with someone on social media, on Facebook, about the fact that she said that Gil is right where he is because of the fact of the name calling. So some of the things that we heard from him was Debbie Downer, high maintenance, diva. And he even mentioned in Decision Day that he did some of those things. And I think at the reunion, too, that, he picks with her, but it wasn't as bad as it was. And then we hear Myrla say that I really didn't like it because nobody ever referred to me as being high maintenance and things like that. Well, I don't know if you guys remember at the beginning of the season, before she met who she was marrying, she had a sit-down lunch with her friends, a few of her girlfriends and a guy friend. And one of the things that they mentioned at that table was that she was a diva and that she was high maintenance. And also, I remember the guy friend of hers actually said to the producer by himself, he wishes the best for whoever the man that they're matching her with. Good luck to him or something like that. And you can go back and check that. It's very early at the beginning of this season. So I know she has to have had to heard that before. Now, she said that she didn't hear it with the persons that she's dating, but she had to hear that from her friends as well. I mean, based on the fact of, the people that you hang out with, what they think of you. And if one of the things that came out was high maintenance, she's heard that before. And that's from her friends. And she took it in stride too, Now, do you want to hear that all the time? Maybe not. But the thing is, she says she's never heard that before. Well, she heard it from her own friend group. The whole Debbie Downer comment basically comes from the fact that she critiqued everything. She critiqued when she went to the retreat. She critiqued when she went to the motel. She had criticism when she walked into Decision Day on how, oh, wow, this is nice. She criticized everything just about that she had to be involved in, because it either didn't meet her standard. The pool was not as nice as her pool and, things like that. So, as much as people was on him about the things that he was saying to her, she had a lot of things to say as well. And when you're around a person like that who criticizes everything, it can get kind of tiresome. And he had something to say about it. And at least with him, how he felt. Whereas with Myrla, we didn't find out what she really felt until the end of the season. And of course, that led Gil to be, blindsided. So I just wanted to address some of these different ideas of why or reasons, people were saying Myrla broke up with Gil. Because at the end of the day, we saw the different things that we saw. Now, I do agree with the fact, like I always talk about every season, with editing, right? But there was a lot there that she put out there as well, you know. Just as much as you guys don't want to blame editing for everything else, you know, with when it came to some of the other people, the Mikes, the Chris's, and other people of the previous seasons. Y'all gave what y'all saw. Well, guess what? I guess you can say the same thing about Myrla. Now, I do say that there was some editing, but you can't edit somebody's feelings. You can't edit somebody's heart. And in the case of Gil, he was devastated. So, yeah, he was definitely serious about this process. And, you know, I really, truly think his feelings was real, unreal, like what we saw with Myrla. And then, insult to injury, this whole interaction between Myrla and Johnny and him. I mean, it's just one layer to this after the other. I mean, it was just as I said about the previous video I did, a circus. It really was. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you thought. I wanted to talk about some of what I saw of some reasons why folks were thinking that Myrla had broke it off with Gil, and wanted to discuss those things and give my opinions to those. I told you it wasn't what you guys thought, but we'll see what happens with them. Follow all of them on Instagram. You can see what they continually have going on, and you know, go from there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.